Hi, good morning. There's this particular subject that I think has not fully found the full balance in the whole body of Christ and also in the world, because if once there is an uproar or whenever somebody disagrees with something said in the authority or from the authority of the land, people are quick to quote Romans 13, that oh, we must submit to all authority, which is right, but there's an underlying tone there that we are not paying attention to. In verse 3, the first Romans 13:1, it says everyone must subject to governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, which we understand. God will not set anything in office that is not to better or put the people in a good and peaceful environment and structure. So in the third verse of that same, after he said all that, he said, for civil authorities are not a terror to people of good conduct, but to those of bad behavior. Would you have no dread of him who is in authority? Then do what is right, and you receive his approval and condemnation. So that is the underlying tone. The reason why Paul said you must obey authority is if this authority, every authority is from God. We understand that, but it says these civil authorities are there for the good conduct of the people. Another verse says, verse 3, the TPT, for civil authorities don't intimidate those who are doing good, but those who are doing evil. So the reason why we have imprisonment for those that those that kill or that steal, is because of all these governing authorities. So we must obey it in order to be peaceful, to live in harmony and in peace with all men. First Peter 3 2. First Peter 2 likewise said something like that. First Peter 2 it says something like that we must obey. I think it's from 13 or 17. Let me use the 17 verse. 17 says, recognize the value of every person. No. 13. Let's do 13. In order to honor the Lord, you must respect and defer to the authority of every human institution, whether it be the high ruler. Let me read the King James. It says, submit yourself to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be for the king. That means honor the king or honor authority. That's what he's saying. And the underlining tone there is that so that you may, by doing this, win some men to Christ, bring them to the knowledge of Christ. And I remember in the book of Daniel, when they were in Babylon, and the king, I can't remember his name. The name is tongue twisting for me, so let's just keep the name now. But the king in Babylon told them that he gave an authority that everybody should bow to the king, to the idol. Everybody must bow to an idol, to an image. If they don't bow, they kill them. Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys decided not to bow, and they decided to pray. And the time that, to pray to their God, opening their windows for them to see, and they just decided not to obey the ordinances of the king. Why am I bringing that up? Because every ordinance, every authority that is not in alignment or that defiles God's ordinance is not to be obeyed. Why am I saying this? I believe in Babylon, they had a lot of Christians, they have a lot of believers in there that profess the God of the Hebrew, the God of Israel, but they could not do what Daniel and the 3 boys did, because those are the only ones that were recorded in the book that they did not do the things that the king wanted them to do. Because it was defilement to their God. So anytime something defiles your God, anytime people defile who you serve or who you believe in, then you must, reject that authority and ordinance. Is not in defilement to destruction of the land. You don't have to do it to cause obstruction or whatever. But you just defile. You just reject it. I don't agree with that authority. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. You must be able to stand up to things that defiles your God. You must be able to stand up to ordinances that defiles your God. You must be able to stand up to authority that defiles your God. Because anything that defiles your God makes you to stand up and be like, this is to bring peace. This authority is to bring peace in the land. I'm not obstructing the peace of the land. But you touch my God, you talk and defile the God that I serve, then we are not having it. We are not having it. So anytime you get to a situation in your life that defiles the God that you serve, the God of the Bible, the King of all kings, the monarch of the universe, you must reject that. Daniel rejected it. He was punished for rejecting it. But I thank God this book of the Bible is so balanced, because the way he told you to obey authority is the way he showed you that there are some authorities and their ordinances that need not to be obeyed, because it's in defilement to the God that you serve. It's in defilement to the belief of your faith, to what you believe in. So I'm here to encourage you that weigh all authority, weigh all ordinances, weigh it, and choose your God anytime this comes up. Choose to serve your God. Choose to follow your God. Choose to do that which pleases God. Because at the end of all these things, you're going to stand before God and you give account of when they defiled your God and you kept quiet and you could not talk. You could not tell them the truth. Let me tell you, the reason why you talk about David today is because an uncircumcised Philistine defiled his God. An uncircumcised Philistine defiled his God. And he was furious. How dare you defile my God? And he said, today, I'm cutting off your head. Today, this head will be cut off. I will cut it off. And God gave him that scepter to go forward and cut off the head of the Philistine that defiled his God. Every time you're comfortable and sitting in comfort, while they defile your God, check your Christianity, check your intimacy, check if you're still in alignment with the God of the Bible. Check if you're comfortable, if there's no uproar in you when they're telling you things to defile your God. You must be able to say something. You must be able to tell them the truth, not to be able to, destroy the whole city. No, for people to come to the knowledge of your God. For people to know that there is a God in Israel, there's a God in America, there's a God in Nigeria, there's a God in Australia, there's a God in Europe, there's a God in Antarctica that is still the monarch of the universe. And you will not defile him, while I, a witness of him, will sit back and watch you defile him. I'm a witness. Me being on earth, or me being in any circumstance, is to witness to you that there is a God that is bigger than what you're saying. And I must be able to prove it to you that this God does exist. And he is all-knowing, all-knowing, all-sufficient. And no man can dethrone him. No man can put him off his throne or shut him up. He's still God. And he's still the God, the monarch of the whole earth. So stand up and speak truth when you know that lie is lying at the door. God bless you. Have a blessed day.